I'm Cody O'Reilly with JoinTeamHunt, sharing real stories from the West, insights from the hunt, and new ways to connect with fellow outdoor enthusiasts. Be part of the action. Subscribe to JoinTeamHunt. Rate this episode and tell a buddy, because you're not getting any younger and those mountains aren't getting any easier. Hey, Mike, how's it going?
It's going good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Glad to have you on. We're in the new year. First podcast that I've done since before hunting season, actually. We're kicking the dust off with you, and couldn't think of a better guy to have on with the new year here in full force and kind of the career that you got going. So I'll let you dive into what you kind of want to talk about with your training. Let you kick it off with that.
Sure. So I'm an electrician by trade to start out. So I do the coaching thing as kind of like a side hustle, but I got into working out years ago. I'd say about 15 to 16 years ago is when I started actually training a lot, and kind of got hooked on it. And it was more just the bodybuilding bro split type of deal up until I got really into bow hunting. And then it transformed into this functional, train for the mountains type of program. And now I've kind of found myself in this in-between spot where I've kind of nestled into this program where leading up to hunting season, I train hard for that specific endeavor. And then other times of the year, I'm more preparing for that time of the year, if that makes sense. So this time of the year, I'm trying to build muscle. I'm trying to gain strength. I'm trying to get my caloric levels up as high as possible and kind of bring myself into the performance part of season at the highest caloric level I can, just so I can perform well. As far as the coaching thing goes, it was kind of a fluke thing. I was helping out some buddies, and I actually got signed up with NCI, which is the Nutrition Coaching Institute. Was going through some of their programming and actually won a scholarship through them, and went through a lot of their courses and just started helping out buddies on the side. And I really started to like it, and eventually I'd like to grow it. I'm definitely, I'm taking on new clients currently, but it's not my main source of income, if you will. It's just something I enjoy doing. And truthfully, fitness has always been a very selfish, not in a bad way, but a very selfish endeavor for me. It's been very self-focused, and I feel like I've gained so much knowledge over the years from training myself and training friends that, I feel like I could actually, help people and, help people get to a better spot. And I know that it's changed my life, and I feel like it could change a lot of other people's life too.
Yeah, for sure, man. You're speaking my language. I grew up in sports basically my whole life almost. I played college ball, college football, and I endured the workout side of it, obsessed with working out. I was probably in the gym too much versus trying to learn the plays and understand the game philosophy side of it versus trying to be in tip-top shape. I mean, I was one of the stronger guys on the team, but I should have put a little bit more effort into the knowledge and the X's and O's of the game, so to speak. But so I hear you on that, man. I love working out myself, and I see the rewards and benefits when you get out to the mountains and how much that can really help you just from a physical side of it and the mental side of it. I mean, if you don't have those capabilities, you're not going very far in the mountains. And then when you get an animal on the ground like an elk, it's pretty tough to get it out of there 3+ miles, even a mile. If you got no physical condition, it's a completely different ball game, especially if you're coming from the Midwest or Eastern states. I mean, good luck. Those first couple of days, you're dealing with elevation sickness, or who knows. I mean, there's so many things that come up traveling and not living out there in the elements too. So
yeah, it's amazing. You hear a lot of guys coming from the Midwest and doing their first elk hunt, and it's interesting to get a report from those guys as they leave the mountain and what happened and what worked and what didn't. And I'd say 9 times out of 10, the guys are like, man, I really wish that I would have trained harder. I really wish I would have just done this or done that. Like physically, I wish I would have dialed in my nutrition more because I started eating all the backpacking food and it just wrecked me the whole time I was out there. And that's something we all kind of deal with depending on the on the brand of
Right.
dehydrated meals you're eating. Yeah, it's
For sure.
for me, it's not so much about the ability to do it. I'm 35. I'm still young enough where I can, if I'm not in perfect tip top shape, I can still get around and still do stuff. But for me, it's just the enjoyment of it. Like if I'm going to go out for 2 weeks and hunt elk in the mountains, like I just don't want it to suck the whole time. Like I want to enjoy it and have fun and see an elk across the canyon and not be like, God, it's going to take me all day to get over there. It's like I know I can jet over there and put a stock on it or try and call it in or whatever. So it's really become way more about the enjoyment for me than it has even just like pushing the limits to go to like the most insane 12 miles in basin. And realistically, you don't even really need to do that a lot of the times. The elk I killed this year, full disclosure, is about 500 yards from my pickup. So it's not always about how far you go. It's about the effectiveness, when you're out there, how effective you are. And if you're sucking air everywhere you go, it makes it really difficult to sneak up on something or get to where you need to go quickly.
Yeah, for sure. Back to your nutrition coach, you're taking on guys. Is that mainly geared towards mountain athletes, or can anyone look you up and do some online coaching or stuff like that? I'd like to get your name out there with people and friends that I know too that might need some additional self-help. If it's not even a mountain athlete, maybe it's like friends or family or whatever. I mean, is that geared kind of towards mountain athletes or anyone?
It's very much anyone. And I say that because I like training guys that are hunters and are outdoorsmen, and that's kind of like the target market that I've been, more or less working with. But to be honest with you, a lot of the guys that are in the Western hunting space are pretty dialed anyway, and they kind of have their shit together. And really, I think I get enjoyment out of helping those folks, but I also really, really like to work with people who are not necessarily hunters. Really, It's I feel like it comes down to the misconception of the types of training you need to do to lose body fat. Uh, Hunters tend to do lean pretty heavy into the more CrossFit circuit style training, which is fine. But I feel like even just the average population, like you said, your father-in-law or, your uncle or whatever that just wants to lose some weight. Speaking of this time of the year, new year, new me, somebody says they want to lose 50 pounds. Usually, I'd say the vast majority of people, first thing they do is they cut their calories in half and they start running on the treadmill every day. And I think that helping people that don't understand the steps that you go through to keep that weight off long term, it kind of, I don't know, kind of lights my candle. I really like to help guys that are so new to it. They're like, I don't even know where to start. I mean, I've been running on the treadmill for a year and I look the same, and what do I do? I feel like I can make a really big impact in those guys' lives. The hunters that I'm working with are typically more like adjusting carbohydrates for performance, or figuring out ways to increase protein intake when you're in the woods, or literally prescribing them a macro plan and dialing in their nutrition. They're weighing all their food, whatever it is, depending on how intense they are. But I'd say the majority of the clients that I work with, though, have been people that just want to be healthier. And truthfully, I went into this with the expectation that I would work primarily with hunters, and I've actually gotten more enjoyment out of helping people that aren't necessarily training for the mountains. And these guys will, go on a whitetail hunt, or they might have like a mule deer hunt or something they're, getting ready for. But, that's 1 week out of the 52 in the years. More or less, we're just changing habits to influence them for the rest of their life. So, they can sustain this more of a healthy lifestyle as opposed to where they're at currently.
There's a lot of tactics out there for losing weight. And this time of the year, you hear of those trends. It seems like every year there's a new trend. I want to say the last trends that I've heard is like the HERS or HIMS and the GLP-1 shot.
Yep. Ozempic is the trend now. Oh yeah, man. It's the GLP-1. Those are, don't get me wrong, they're effective. I don't think it's the clearest path. I say if I had a client that was insanely overweight, needed to lose like 150 pounds and just could not control their appetite, that'd be somebody that would be a reasonable candidate for that, in my opinion. I don't know all the side effects. I've never prescribed it or suggested it to anyone, but my take on it is a last resort. Like, this is catastrophic. You're going to die if you don't lose weight.
Right.
That would be a good time to implement that. But there are strategies with guys, especially even big guys, guys that are overweight and bigger structure. I mean, I'm 5'9", and 210 pounds. I'm not a real big dude, but guys that are, 6'4" and, 300 pounds or 350 pounds, like, yeah, they need to lose some weight, but they're also 6'4", so they don't have to lose really that much.
They're big
And I feel
boned. They
like
got big
everybody
structure.
focuses on the number on the scale, and that's not the important part. I mean, important part is your body fat percentage. And so, going back to using the example of running on the treadmill and decreasing your calories, not to get completely in the weeds and specifics, but if you're eating, say, on average, 3,000 calories a day and you can't lose weight, and you start running on the treadmill and you cut your calories to 1,500, you are going to lose weight for sure. But you're eventually going to hit a plateau where you can't run enough and you can't eat a few enough calories to keep losing weight. So eventually it just stalls. And then, unless they want to continue eating 1,000 calories a day or 500 calories a day and continuing to also run on the treadmill, it just gradually just declines down to where you're eating such a small amount of food and training so hard that you just can't maintain it and you just put the weight back on. And so there's other ways to do it that is much more efficient and more or less retrains your body on what to do with excess weight or excess calories in your system at that point in time.
Right. I mean, just for me personally, I'm a firm believer of keeping it basic, stick to the whole foods, eat as basically many small meals throughout the day as you possibly can to get your 30 to 50 grams of protein. I mean, you're a big guy. I'm a big guy in relatively terms. I mean, I'm 220 pounds, you're 210 pounds. And to get enough of that protein every day, you got to basically eat 7 or 8 times. So, I mean, just eating those whole foods as many times as you possibly can throughout the day and keeping it basic when you're not out in the mountains. I mean, you just, I don't know. I think some people just make it too complex and try to get into the weeds a little bit. But then you got your bodybuilders, and they have to be precision at its finest to get every single ounce of the shed weight and get that lean effect. I mean, they have to be. But for guys that are just trying to lose 50 pounds or something like that, you just need to set that routine, in my opinion, and stick with it. Consistency is absolutely key to me.
Oh, 100, yeah, 100%. And honestly, I couldn't agree more. The consistency is non-negotiable. It is, and truthfully, for me, I found that consistency builds momentum. And so when you're in this, if you can just stomach it for even a week, 2 weeks, everybody's different, but if you can stomach it for a consistent amount of time, it eventually becomes, you just have this momentum and you just continue to do it. And I'm a huge believer of simplicity. Think that is not talked about enough in the fitness space. It's what gimmick or what, keto this or no, carnivore that, or what workout is going to give me the best, belly fat reduction, which isn't even possible. But people get lost in what are all the different steps that I can do at the same time to lose weight and be healthier, when in reality, they should be looking at it in terms of what are small things that I can change for a period of time, and then as you get used to that change something else. And so I break it down into, and it takes time. I mean, realistically, people get burned out on that kind of theory because they want to see the weight come off. And so the running on the treadmill and the eating, 1,000 calories, they're going to see weight loss really quickly. But when you do that without implementing strength training and adequate actual strength training, not circuit training, not CrossFit, strength training, if you're trying to build muscle and get stronger, you are telling your body, yeah, I want to add tissue, but you're trying to add muscle tissue. You're not adding body fat. And so, say if you eat your, as an example, very simple example, if you're wanting to lose 30 pounds, 40 pounds, and you hardly ever strength train, if you start lifting weights, eat the same amount of calories, but make sure you hit your body weight in grams of protein per day and strength train 2 days a week, that you might not lose weight on the scale, but your body fat percentage is going to go down because you are telling your body, okay, I'm making I need to be stronger. Like you're sending the signal to your body to build muscle, to be stronger, to use those extra calories that you're eating. And eventually you add a little bit of muscle mass, and then your daily caloric requirement to maintain your body weight goes up because now you have metabolically expensive muscle tissue that you've added to your body. And now you need to eat that many more calories to maintain that weight. And so it's technically it's called a reverse diet, but what you're doing is you're adding muscle mass while increasing your calories slowly. And then if somebody does want to cut and lose weight and lose body fat, you're not cutting from 1,500 calories, you're cutting from 3,500. And so you drop your calories to 3,000 and you're losing body fat, and you strength train and you're maintaining your muscle. But guys that jump on a treadmill and cut their calories in half, they're losing the equal amount or roughly an equal amount of fat and muscle. And so they end up, even a guy that goes to the gym, loses 100 pounds. That's awesome. It's really hard work. It's really hard to do. But if they do it incorrectly, one, they're probably going to put it back on. And two, if they actually got their body fat tested, they'd see, oh shit, like I'm just a smaller version of myself. Like I didn't actually lose body fat and build muscle. I'm just a smaller version of the same body fat percentage self that I was, 6, 8, 10, 12 months ago. So I think that's something that's often overlooked. And I'm a huge strength training guy. I honestly probably lean too hard on that. One of the things I struggle with is finding time to do cardio and everything because I love to strength train. I love to lift weights and be strong. But truthfully, like VO2 max and getting ready for hunting season, you can adjust that. You can improve your VO2 max very, very quickly. It sucks. Don't get me wrong. If you're not used to doing cardio, it's not fun. But people worry about not being in shape for hunting season, but you can get in shape for hunting season pretty quickly as long as you have a good muscle base and a decent aerobic base. Walking on a treadmill on an incline is probably the best thing you could do in the off season to stay ready for the hunting season. And then once it approaches, you start doing more hit training, more high intensity stuff for running up a mountain. But in the off season, man, if you're doing loads of cardio and not strength training and telling your body to be strong, it almost confuses it. At least that's what I found. Well, I love the Mountain Tough guys. I don't want to throw any shade on them. Like their programming's fantastic. They're great guys. They're super smart. Like they really know what they're doing. But I just don't like training like that year round. I'm not consistent with it. I will skip workouts. And this is a guy that loves to go to the gym. I go to the gym every day. If I was a rest day, I go to the gym to stretch. And so for me to not be able to sustain that is wild. For other people, like maybe they like training like that. I don't. And so this time of year, it's just about strength training and getting strong. And then I phase my workouts leading into spring. If I'm going to hunt spring bear, I'll do a little extra cardio leading into that or something. Summer, like the couple months leading up to September is the time where I'm doing a lot of circuit training and high intensity stuff. But all the rest of the year, including during hunting season, I'm not training that way. I feel like it's counterproductive.
So you got kind of those phases you go throughout the year. Would you call like this phase kind of your bulk phase, or you're not really trying to bulk? You're just trying to gain as much strength back as possible?
I'm kind of, it's funny. I kind of fall on both sides of that coin. Am technically bulking now. Oh man, and it's funny. I've always this sounds silly. When I was in high school, I was a really chubby kid. I've always struggled with weight my entire life until I started lifting weights. I feel like I definitely I like I like the idea of bulking. I like being strong. I like getting really good pumps in the gym. I see the improvement. I see the increase in muscle mass. But it is something that is psychologically hard for me to see my body fat increase. And I don't stay super lean year round, but I can put on muscle and stay relatively lean. And so I'm doing what they would consider to be a lean bulk right now. My calories, I'm not weighing and tracking everything. I'm weighing and tracking my protein daily just to make sure I'm hitting like 220 grams of protein a day. But outside of that, I kind of know roughly about how many carbohydrates and how many fats I'm eating each day. And it's more or less on days where I train or I lift heavy, I'll increase my carbohydrates. On days where they're lighter lifting days or off days, I'm decreasing my carbohydrates, and I kind of just eat intuitively in that way. But as far as right now, this season is more of like a bulking protocol, if you will. I'd say I probably average between 200 to 400 calories in a surplus, so more than I'm burning. But it's all relative because it's weekends I train much harder in the gym because I have more time. But weekdays I'm working 10 hours in construction, so I'm very active and I'm getting 20,000 steps a day. So it's hard. It's difficult to really say that I'm in a bulk because I'm not like full-time bodybuilding and like tracking all my food and everything. And truthfully, to minimize body fat increase, you'd almost have to be tracking relatively accurately. But me hitting my protein goal, I can tell if I'm not eating enough when I get to the gym. Like you can tell I don't get a good pump, I'm not strong enough, or I have to decrease weights on a couple workouts. That means this whole last week I probably wasn't eating enough food. So next week I'm going to add in another meal that's like 300 calories, or I'll do a smoothie at night for dessert or something, just so none of my meals, like I'm not like, oh, I need to add 30 grams of carbs to every meal and this many grams of like, I just like it simple. I'll eat the same stuff. I eat a lot of the same stuff every day. I'll continue to eat those same things, and I'll just add in a meal or a snack or something that's going to increase my calories to what I think is going to put me in a surplus. And then I kind of pay attention to biofeedback again. Biofeedback being, how's my training? How are my pumps? How am I sleeping? Am I sore? How am I recovering? All of those things are really good indicators of where you're at physically. And thankfully, strength training is a really good indicator. Like your strength and your performance in the gym is probably the best indicator you can get on whether or not you're going in the right direction or not.
What are your go-tos for getting ready for the mountains? You talk about the incline. What other like exercises, or what do you love doing that, you know, okay, this is definitely going to help me when I'm going up 1,000 feet vertical?
So
and half
my
mile
thing
and
is, and this for the guys out east and in the Midwest, I'm sorry for saying this, but there is no substitute for hiking in the mountains with a pack on. If you can put a pack on and run bleachers, if you can put a pack on and run hills, I mean, I know there's ski hills in Minnesota and Wisconsin. I mean, if you can put that pack on and hike up and down that ski hill 5 or 6 times, like anything like that is the best thing. Like it's just like basketball. Like Kobe Bryant, like, yeah, he probably lifts weights. He was probably in the gym quite a bit, but the dude was there shooting free throws and fundamentals, drills. Like he was playing basketball to get good at basketball. It's the same thing with hunting, man. I mean, it's even shooting your bow, like the AccuBow thing, like it's cool or whatever, but you're going to get a lot more benefit from just shooting your bow. And it's the same thing hiking, getting ready for season. If you do not have access to any of that, if you live in the flattest of flat places, bleachers are a good option. Other than that, some of the things I do personally around here, if it's not hiking in the mountains and setting trail cameras, I'd say I hesitate to say this because it increases your risk of injury a lot. People don't realize how much. I use a weight vest often, a 20-pound weight vest. People don't realize how much that actually increases the volume on your workouts. Like you can go do a circuit, you know, a mountain tough workout or a circuit workout from CrossFit or whatever without a weight vest, and then do it with a weight vest the next week, and it's humbling. I mean, it is very, very difficult, especially when you're talking about doing pull-ups and push-ups and stuff with it on, or running. And truthfully, I'm not the biggest fan of running with a weight vest on, just because I feel like the majority of people, myself very much included, do not have very good form when they run. They just go run and they don't think of it as like a skill. They're just going to get tired. And there's other ways to get tired that's not going to cause overuse injuries. And especially if you do something like wear a weight vest, it's going to kind of lead to some, so it could potentially lead to some issues like that. At least I've found. I actually rolled my ankle really bad training 4 season this year with a weight vest on. So take it from me, it's not always the best tool, but it is effective if you can do it. Like I said, walking on the treadmill, the Stairmaster, things that are lower impact that you can just add a load onto. Like I would oftentimes set the incline on the a treadmill to like 15 and throw it on, 2 miles an hour, 2.5, 3 miles an hour. 3 miles an hour is fast on that big of an incline, especially with the weight vest on. But that type of stuff seems to really help, and just grind it out. I mean, you're working in a between like 150 and 180 beats per minute. Like that's hard. You're not having a conversation, you're sweating your ass off. It's really tough. That's a really good thing. It boosts your VO2 max quickly. To avoid overuse injuries, I also lean pretty heavily on HIIT training. I think specifically repeat training. Something that people don't talk about often, I feel like in the hunting space, it's more or less like duration, because you're training for endurance, right? Which is true. So you need this good aerobic base. Excuse me. But another really effective tool is to max out, go all out as hard as you can, bump your heart rate as high as you can get it for like 20 seconds, and then you rest until your heart rate comes all the way back down to baseline, and then you do it again. And it's almost like it's very similar protocol to strength training. Like when you deadlift, you do, 5 reps, and then you set the thing down, and then you wait 2 to 3 minutes if you're resting adequately, and then you stand up and you do it again, and then you do that 4 or 5 times. Same thing with repeat training, but it's just training your heart and your lungs instead of your muscles. So I think that's a really good option. Anything with rucking, wearing a pack on, farmer carry, anything you can do to add load to your frame without risking injury. That is by far the best thing you could do. And then obviously, as far as like workouts in the gym, the horrific Bulgarian split squat is a really good option. It's awful, but it works. Reverse step lunges, step ups, deficit lunges, anything, legs and lungs, man. Anything you can do in the gym with legs and lungs will get you up the mountain.
Nice. Yeah, I found over the years, just my progression. First year or two going to the mountains, I thought I got to run, do a lot of running with an incline, but I miss the weight, and the weight is critical. Sure. If you don't have that weight on you, it really doesn't do a whole lot. I mean, it helps some, but not nearly as much as it does as if you got anywhere from, even 20 to 30 pounds. I try to work myself up to at least 50. So like the last couple of years, what I found is I keep straining like my Achilles tendon or my calf because I'm doing so much weighted incline and on the treadmill. And It's like, man, so I've been using the Theragun and the cupping and doing everything just to tame it down and to try not to go too hard. You got to really ease it in and listen to your body. But yeah, it's difficult at times to try to not push too hard. I'm getting older too myself. I'm 37 years old now. When you get older, you got to listen to your body a little bit more and understand really what works for you too. Everybody's body's a little bit different, and you just, yeah.
Yeah, man. I hear you there. I've definitely dealt with my fair share of overuse injuries because I am the overtraining champion of the world. Really have a hard time not going to the gym. Mentally, it puts me in a really good place. Like I just love going there. Like today was the rest day. I went and did, 5 sets of sit-ups and then sat in a steam room and stretched. Like it was just fun to be there and move in the morning and just get around. And, you did some band work or whatever, some stretching. But the overuse thing is a big one. And honestly, I feel like loading super heavy is where people run into that the most, I feel like. Are you familiar with Aaron Snyder? Do you pay attention to any of his stuff?
Yeah, for sure, a little bit.
So I've heard Aaron talk a few times because he's, a big fitness guy. Obviously, he's a monster in the mountains. But he spoke about when he was coming up in the hunting industry and he was training for hunting after he went through his whole steroid thing and everything else. He got into he felt like he was kind of a bitch if he didn't have like an elk quarter worth of weight in his pack when he was hiking. And he's like, I would give anything to go back and let my knees not do that. Oh, over the quarter, like all the way through his 30s and 40s, because he would load up 80, 90, 100 pounds and go on, going on a hike. And he's like, that's great, but you're taking years off your knees by doing that. I don't care how strong and how fit you are. If you have that much weight on your frame, it is going to wreck you if you do it too much. And I mean, packing an elk out, like you get to the truck and you feel, 3, 4 inches shorter. I mean, that's just part of the game. That's part of the fun, I guess. But in the off season, if you're doing that frequently, it's probably not the best idea. I'd advocate for, 50 pounds isn't that much. I mean, that's like backpacking weight. But if you're to the guys out there listening that are like, I'm going to throw 80, 90 pounds in my pack and, go on a 3 mile hike, like I would not do that. Like it's, worry about getting hurt. You worry about twisting an ankle, I mean, you're going to be tired coming down the hill. Like we want to have our bodies strong enough to be able to handle that, but not do it a lot. If that makes sense. It sounds silly, but I mean, really, it's very similar. I keep going back to strength training, but it's very similar to like a powerlifting protocol. Like the best powerlifters in the world are not PRing every day. Like they're not PRing 4 times a week. Like they're going into a competition knowing that they can lift this weight that's obscene, but they're not doing it when they're training. Like they're training differently. They're training with more of on the eccentric load when they're setting they're lowering the weight down as they're taking more time. They're using lighter weight and slower tempo. They're doing a bunch of sets with a bunch of rest in between and a much lighter weight. And then they test their PR every now and again. So leading up to season, like there's nothing wrong with going on the little mile, 1 mile ruck or something with 80 pounds just to kind of see what it feels like, because if you're 4 or 5 miles in on an elk hunt and the first time you've ever had 80 or 100 pounds in your back is then, it's going to be an eye opener. I mean, you're not going to be kind of surprised at how much that hurts. So it's not saying don't do that by any means. And like you said, backpacking weight, like 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds, like that's a great weight to train at, and going any higher than that, I feel like is almost counterproductive.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I mean, I see it, if I don't give myself enough rest, I'm straining my Achilles or my calf, and it's like, gosh, dang it, it's setting me back a month or so to get that back to where I can start over again. Then I got to start at 20, 30 pounds and work yourself back up to 50.
I had the same issue. I had a season where I thought it was the boots I was wearing, and it could have been a contributor. I tried a different brand of boots. I won't say the brand because they're wonderful. I just, for whatever reason, they just don't work for. I have size 13 wide feet. Like I'm like a platypus, man. I got like really, really big feet, and it's annoying. But I tried this new brand of boots. I was not using custom orthotics at the time, and I went on. It wasn't even, you know what it was? I put them on and I was antelope hunting, and I probably walked 3 miles, 4 miles that day, archery antelope hunting. Nothing major, flat ground, mostly flat, little hills and stuff. I couldn't walk the next day. And I was like, what is, like, Achilles tendonitis, like acute Achilles tendonitis. And I was like, what caused this? Like, what could it? I think part of it is because the heel cup on it was a little bit deeper than the boots I was used to wearing for work. And so it was putting a little bit more strain on my Achilles, because my calves are pretty big. I mean, I train legs a lot and I have pretty big calves. And like you said, Stairmaster every day, that kind of thing leading up to season. My calves were so balled up and so tight, and I wasn't stretching them properly. I was only stretching basically part of my calf. I wasn't stretching all the muscles. You have to stretch multiple ways to stretch all the muscles in your calf properly. I was not doing that. And I went to a podiatrist and got some custom orthotics and got some stretches and some suggestions from him. And it fixed it probably within 3 weeks, I'd say. So hunting season was, in full effect. I mean, archery season was almost over and it was leading into rifle season. I hadn't killed anything yet. So I was like, I gotta do something, because I just can't hike. Like, I mean, I'm hiking up the mountain sideways because I can't flex my foot. I couldn't dorsal flex my ankle. So, but yeah, the custom orthotics were a game changer for me, man. And then the learning how to actually stretch those muscles properly helped a lot. But yeah, I mean, I know what you mean. Overuse and just loading those muscles and on the stairs every day or on the incline every day. people don't realize how much overuse injuries are, even injuries that seem like they're, man, I tweaked my back at the gym today. Well, it's like, maybe, but you could have had it inflamed and swollen and screwed up because you're not taking enough rest days, or you do the same exercise every single day, like 4 times a week, you do the same exercise. Sometimes it just leads to overuse. If you have a little bit off in your form and you're doing it all the time, it'll lead to injury for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Have you heard of the sheep feet? I think they're sheep feet,
Yep.
right? Those insoles.
Yep, for sure. So my podiatrist,
Have you had the,
I haven't tried them personally. I've heard nothing but good things.
yeah.
Actually, I personally know a guy that has them and he loves them. He said he'll never run anything else. Honestly, I'm kind of tempted to give it a try. It's just I had already went through my podiatrist and they did the mold of my feet and they send them to me, and all I have to do is I got to go in there. It costs me like $30 to have them resurfaced. And so I don't know how much sheep feet is, but it's, considerably more than that. But I've thought about just getting some just for the heck of it to try it out, but no, I've heard nothing but great things. And it's basically the exact same thing I did. It just wasn't like they have a doctor. I think that it's the owner of the company's dad was a podiatrist, and I think that then they got into it. They were on Snyder's podcast years ago, and I remember listening to it and being like, damn, that's basically exactly what I have, but it's a hunting brand, which I was kind of jealous that I didn't get them through those guys. But
yeah,
basically I'm doing the exact same thing. It's just through the doctor here locally.
I got to get a new set. I had an expensive pair done here at the Mayo Clinic, actually. So it was kind of spendy. And my dog just got into my boots and ripped them to pieces. So I got to get a new pair for this year.
Good. Yeah. Dogs are so good at destroying the things we love, aren't they?
Especially expensive items.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on fasting? Are you a big fasting guy, or I don't know why, but my body is kind of unique. If I don't have sugars or food, I literally get the shakes and I feel like crap. I can't think. So I can't imagine going like a whole day without sugars and foods. And it, like, for me, it's just like, I haven't even tried it because it's just, I know I can't do it. Like I can't get past it. Like I've tried like half day and it's just like my body literally like starts shaking and I feel like complete crap and I can't get through it.
Yeah. I'm conflicted because I've used fasting before and I can honestly say it kind of didn't work. I feel like I was sort of in like a plateau at the time. And so I don't want to say that it didn't work necessarily, but I feel here's the drawbacks with it. For me, I train fasted in the morning, but I do not fast very long. Like immediately after my workout, I'm eating a meal. And so I train fasted because I don't want to eat a bunch of food at 4:30 in the morning and then go lift weights at 5. And I'm gonna throw up. Like I can't eat the amount of calories I want to eat before I train immediately before I train. Even if it's like a giant bowl of cereal and some protein powder or something really easy and quick digesting, I just don't like to do it. If I don't have 2-3 hours before I train to eat a solid balanced meal, I just will train fasted and do it that way. But the rest of the day I'm eating normally. I have done the intermittent fasting thing. I think the reason that it works for some people for losing weight is, say you're doing like the 6-hour window or the 8-hour window where you're only eating, for those who don't know, you're only eating during 8 hours of the day. So say you start eating at noon, you can eat up until 8 o'clock and then you stop eating until noon the next day. My struggle with that, especially now, because I'm eating so many calories, I'm eating well over probably close to 3,500 calories a day, roughly. If I'm eating that much food and I'm only allowed to eat in an 8-hour window, that is an enormous amount of food to put down, especially if you're trying to shoot for mostly whole foods. And I'm not perfect. I mean, I do at least 1 scoop of protein a day, if not 2, just because the amount of protein that I need to eat is so high. But I have a really, really hard time getting that much food. And even on the weekends now, like if we, like New Year's is a good example, New Year's Day, we were up till midnight. I never stay up till midnight anymore. So that was terrible. I woke up, we slept in, I mean, we plan on sleep at probably like 2 o'clock in the morning. woke up at, 9 or 10. And I mean, I didn't really eat that much the night before. And then we couldn't get going up to the gym until, noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, I think. And so I hadn't eaten for way too long. And so I went and trained, and just had an awful workout, because usually what my strategy is like on an average work day, like tomorrow I'm going to go train at 5. Tonight, you know, God forbid people eat after 6 o'clock, but tonight I'm going to have a really big meal when I hop off this call. It's going to be, I don't even know what time it is. It's 7 o'clock. I'll probably eat a pretty decent sized meal at 8 o'clock, probably really high in carbohydrates, probably a lot of white rice and a lot of elk and some vegetables and maybe some sweet potato as well. And then I may even have a smoothie before I go to bed. So I'm doing what they call backloading carbs. And so I'm eating a lot of carbohydrates, not right before bed, but before bed in the evening. If I eat right before bed, I don't sleep as well. Your time to digest, 2 hours before you go to sleep is a pretty good rule to go by. Before you eat, like a giant meal, something really simple digesting you can get away with. But I've found that if I eat a really good solid meal, 8 o'clock, go to bed at, 9 o'clock, or, if I can eat at 7, go to bed at 9, wake up at 4:05, go to the gym, I have just as good of a workout as if I were to eat 2 to 3 hours before I train on a weekend day. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. The backloading phase.
Yeah. And I honestly think that the fasting thing kind of gets touted as you fast and your body, the cell autophagy, your body replenishes cells. And I'm sure that there's some validity to that. There's some studies that show that in a fasted state, your body wants to recycle and repair damaged cells. It also, they say that you burn more body fat when you're like go do cardio in a fasted state in the morning. I kind of think it's funny. I kind of think that it's true, but it's not for the reasons that they market it to people. I think that it is true because you are no longer staying in bed until 7 and then going to work at 8 and then maybe training in the evening. You're waking up at 5 and going and walking or running or doing something active. You're up 2 hours earlier, moving around. The fact that you're fasted or not doesn't really matter, in my opinion. I think that your total calories throughout the day is what truly matters. And the fact that you're up 2 hours earlier and walking around and more active, and you might end up getting an extra 5,000 steps that day, I think that plays a role in fat loss more than the fact that you were fasted when you were doing it.
Right. I'm right there with you. I just speaking on my end, I mean, for me, if I try fasting, and I've done it before to where I'll go for a run and not eat before, but I'm not running as hard as I would if I had that meal before, or if I had those calories to where I wasn't fasted, and I'm not getting 100% of my workout in or my exercise in that I would if I had that food and that energy. I feel depleted and I can't get that full workout in. I sure up at 80% where I could get 100% with all the food consumption before.
Yep. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's something that I really notice. Again, back to the strength training, back to the biofeedback, like how I feel in the gym is a great indicator of where I'm at. If I am always training, if I'm trying to fast and do the 8 hour window, when do I train? Like I can't train at 3 because I'm still at work. I mean, I could train right after work and then rush home and try and cook food. But if I train right after work, I get off work at 5, get to the gym by 6, train until 8 or train until 7:30 or whatever. And then I'm going home. I got to cook dinner. I got to prep for tomorrow. It just doesn't really work for me. And truthfully, the fasting thing is great if you love doing it. And that's it. That's my advice for a lot of people. Like if you love to run and you're really good at it and you like running, then go run. Like, that's great. I mean, I would say maybe add in some strength training, but what you like to do is what you're going to consistently continue to do. And so if you love to intermittent fast because you feel good when you do that, that's great. But just take into account, like, are you getting stronger? Are you lifting weight? Like, are you able to progressively overload and send the signal to your body to build muscle and burn body fat and be more metabolically active? Or are you just kind of stuck in this plateau where you kind of go and lift those same weights you usually lift in the same workout program you always do, in the same exercises in the same order, and you kind of still look the same, but you might lose 5 or 10 pounds depending on the month and depending on how much running or effort or how much food you eat or do not eat. I feel like more sustainable strategies is just eating when you need to eat. So personally, I eat the majority of my calories around my workouts. Like I eat a gigantic meal after I lift plus a smoothie. I think that's a really good, it keeps me full and easily until lunch, if not longer. And then I eat a pretty big dinner because I want to be fueled for my workout in the morning. And so I don't necessarily fast, but my lunch is probably, I'd say my lunch is considerably, probably the smallest meal of the day. And then also another thing, breakfast, a high protein breakfast does a lot for blood sugar stability and satiety, and it keeps you from wanting to reach for snacks and stuff throughout the day. So the fact that you're getting, whether or not you train in the morning, getting a really high protein, preferably probably reasonably high fat, like steak, eggs, these things that are typically breakfast foods, but people get caught up on breakfast too. It's like, oh, it's not like, if it's not oats or eggs, it's not breakfast. And it's like, man, that's just like, that's marketing. That's the cereal companies telling you that you need to have specific types of food for breakfast. Like, yeah, I mean, maybe everybody doesn't want to eat, like tacos for breakfast, but breakfast tacos are pretty good. Like, it's having some flexibility and almost enjoying the boringness of your food, I find is rewarding in a way, because then when I deviate from that, if I want to go to dinner with my wife, or if I want to, we made chocolate chip cookies. Found the best recipe that we could possibly, just like brown butter, and it was all these steps. I never made cookies, so I had tons of fun doing it. But if I, tried to find a way to fit cookies into my macros every day, it wouldn't be as exciting to do,
Yeah, absolutely. What else? You got any questions for me on the training or diet side? I guess you're the fanatic and the knowledge expert. I just know kind of what I learned along the way with college football and trying to train for the mountains here in the last.
Yeah. I'm curious this time of year, what does your training look like? Are you following like a specific program? Are you kind of writing your own thing? Are you, what do you do in the gym? Like, what's your strategy?
So for me, I mean, I stick to one day. I mean, every week I hit one body part, basically, kind of like a bodybuilder would do it. But I start off with cardio. I usually do 45 minutes to an hour of cardio, get a good lather, and then I hit the weights. I usually do a day of buys, day of back, a day of shoulders and lower back, and then chest and tries, and try to hit all the major lifts. I mean, I do your deadlifts, your bench, your squat, all the major lifts, and then I throw some smaller lifts in there too, but I really focus on those main lifts that everyone talks about.
Good. Yeah, those are great. I'm a huge fan of the compound movements, and even there's a program that I like to run occasionally, and I haven't ran all the way through the program. It's more of a program of convenience for me. But there's a podcast called Mind Pump. It's fantastic. It's great fitness advice. They BS and talk politics and whatever. It's a bro bullshitting podcast for the first portion, and then they do Q&A and stuff about fitness and everything. But the first segment is usually some specific like fitness tip or advice. But in any case, they were talking about they released a program called MAPS 15, and it's 15 minutes, and 15 advanced is the 30-minute version, and it's really, really heavily focused on just compound movements. It's even if you have 10 minutes, God, I really wanted to train today. Like I only have 10 minutes. Like, what do I do? Like, go do 3 sets of heavy squats. Like it's all you really need to do. It's so effective. Like it works every muscle in your body for the most part. And it is it's not even so much what muscles it's working. It is a heavy squat, heavy deadlift, heavy bench press, more of training your CNS, your central nervous system, more than it's training individual muscles, because it's such a compound movement and it uses so many parts of the body that it basically sends a signal to your central nervous system like, oh my God, like we got to be stronger. Like we're waking up at 5 in the morning and squatting 300 pounds. Like what is going on? Like we need to put muscle on. We need to be strong. So if you're ever in that caloric surplus, if you're ever eating more calories than you burn per day, it tends to go to muscle much easier if you're doing those types of movements. And so that's cool. If that's kind of your main focus. A lot of guys hit the gym, they're like, I'm going to do some arms, and then I'm going to do some chest flies, and I'm going to do some leg curls. And while they all have their place,
Yep.
much, much, much less effective.
Yeah, I mean, I do those, of course, but I mean, my main groups and my main focus is the compound workouts and making sure I hit those, and then I'll throw on some band lifts and some chain lifts, and to get that explosion in there too. But I mean, it's all fun.
Yeah, that's great.
Weight room,
Yeah, it's funny, the accessory movements and everything. I'll occasionally do them, and it's funny. I kind of feel like, like a bro, like bodybuilder when I'm doing it, but then I'm always such a functional, like compound movement guy. Like I want to do the movements. Like, I mean, squatting is sitting down, deadlifting is picking something up, like bench press is pushing something. Like they're functional movements you do, especially in construction on a day-to-day basis. And so it was, I did a rest day, mobility, whatever day to me today, and I don't train legs for another day. So I have tomorrow's upper body, and then I'll do legs the following day. And so I was like, well, I'll just do like a little bit of a leg pump. I felt like, doing something. I'm at the gym. I wanted to do something. So I hopped on a hamstring curl machine, the seated hamstring curl. And I was laughing while I was doing it. I was like, when in real life I ever do this? I was trying to think of like a time when I would actually do that movement in like a functional setting, and I
Right.
couldn't, like, I still just off the top of my head can't think about it. I would almost have to like ask AI or something, like in what real time movement would I do a hamstring curl?
Is this
And
really
yeah,
even
you're
doing anything for me?
strengthening your hamstrings is great for, multiple things, but
Right.
the actual movement itself is just kind of, it's a funny movement, I guess.
When I was in college, we would hit the gym 3 days a week, but it'd be 3 full body workouts with like circuits in there. And I was like, why are we doing, like, I was used to just focusing on one body part a day or 2 or 3 body parts a day. But over time, my strength and we do a lot of plyos and a lot of band workouts, chains, but my strength just shot through the roof. I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. But it's just a different
thing that is so overlooked by guys. I'm doing more of a body part split now. I'm doing just like a chest and back day, and then legs, and then like a shoulders and arms day, because I want to build upper body. Legs have always been pretty big. I train a lot of legs and lungs during getting ready for hunting season, so I lean a little bit more heavily on upper body this time of year. But that being said, when it comes to strength training, like full body lifts are great. And again, the Mind Pump guys, the podcast I listen to, they have a program called Maps Anabolic, and it's honestly one that I prescribe to a lot of the people that I train. Very simple. It is 2, maybe depending on your skill level and how much you train, 2, maybe 3 days a week. It's 3 full body movements, and then if you still want to go to the gym on your rest days, they have what they call trigger sessions. So say you're wanting to focus more on your arms, you go in and do like 5 sets of curls with a band, and then that's it. You just get a pump, and then you're done. And the first time I ran through that program, my strength was insane. I mean, I was PRing every week. It was just the crazy, and because I was the same way. It was the same. Like, today's chest day, I'm gonna go do chest,
right.
And then like I started doing deadlifts, and then incline bench, and then weighted pull-ups, and then RDLs, and it was every muscle group in the body was getting hit every day.
Yep.
And I think it has to do with the decrease in like acute volume on any given day. Like you're just giving you go do 3, 4, 5 sets of an exercise of a muscle group, and then you're done. and then you go and do it again 2 days from now, and then you do it again 2 days from now. And so you're giving your body the chance to recover and rest. And not to mention the rest periods in the gym for that program itself is like 2 to 2.5 minutes. And a lot of
Mm-hmm.
guys, when they're doing circuit training, it's just like they're doing this and then that and then this and then that. And it tends to, you're not giving your body the chance to rest so you can do it again. It's almost like if you're doing the repeat training we were talking about earlier. So like say you're doing wind sprints for 20 seconds. That's like you doing wind sprints for 20 seconds, but just never stopping and
Right.
just running, you know, all out until you pass out. It's just not feasible.
For sure. But you get into the hunting side of
I
it.
guess
Well, go ahead.
yeah, I was just gonna ask you. I was just gonna ask you. You want to talk about some hunting? I was gonna ask you what your season looked like. Are you gonna
Yeah.
put in for some Western tags, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, last year I lucked out, man. I had a horseshoe and I feel like I didn't get it accomplished, but I still had a heck of a year. We went out to Wyoming first. Had a couple chances. I snuck up on a nice 6-point. He was probably at 75 yards, then he blew out. I had a rifle in my hand, actually. I couldn't tell where he was at, and I misjudged it a little bit. I thought I was higher than where I was. I was actually coming in at the same height as he was, and I wish I would have been pretty much at the top, and I would have had an easy shot. Like I said, 75, 100-yard shot. I messed that one up, and then we had another opportunity down in Wyoming, and then it was like the second to last day, and I closed the deal on a cow just to make sure I had some elk meat in the freezer to come home to. Funny story with that one, I got back to my truck, and I have 4 llamas. So we brought Llama Life to Minnesota from Bo Beatty, but
So jealous, man.
dude, they're incredible. But I got back to the truck that night at like 10 p.m. and I was like debating like should I go right now and get that elk out of the mountains, or do I wait till the morning to where I can see everything? I was like, no, I gotta go. I gotta go get it. And so I got all 4 of my llamas saddled up. I think we were only like 3 miles in there. And when we got a half mile to them, I could hear at least 5 or 6 coyotes chirping. And then I heard a wolf about a half mile away. I was like, oh my gosh, thank goodness I made the right decision. Otherwise, this elk would have been gone.
Man, that's a lot. We deal with a lot of that stuff with the grizzly bears and stuff up here. It's I don't know if you're in grizzly country down there, but I basically only hunt grizzly country, and it's always in consideration is going back the next. I mean, yeah, it's multiple trips. I'm usually hunting either by myself or with my wife. I mean, she's a savage, but we're still not one tripping an elk out, and
Right.
so it is definitely a consideration regardless of where we go. And
Mm-hmm. Have you?
where I killed mine this year. It was not far from the truck, right by the trailhead, and I shot the thing, started cutting it up, and got it all cut up. My wife hiked in and met me, and I always shuttle the meat away from the carcass. So usually bears, go for the gut pile
Yep.
and the juicy stuff before they go and peel meat off the bone and deal with game bags and everything. So I shuttle the meat a couple hundred yards away from the carcass, ideally downwind, and got the meat over to this tree. And I was like, where am I going to hang this? And I looked down and there's just a giant fresh pile, like, I mean, that day of grizzly shit, like right at the base of the tree. And I'm like,
Man.
you got to be kidding me.
No
I
way.
started looking around and it was everywhere. There's a grizzly just living in this hole that I was in. And it's like,
Wow.
all right. So I just hung it. I mean, I've never packed an elk out so fast in my life, man.
Oh,
We
I
were
bet.
flying. It was pouring down rain. It was miserable, man. We got it done quick though.
Have you ran into a grizzly before?
Yeah, I got charged once a couple of years ago.
Did you really?
Yeah,
A
it
bluff
was
charge?
yeah, it was not good. Dude, I had nightmares about that for weeks, man. It was scary. I hiked in. I was doing I used to call a lot more than I do now. I still call, but I'm a little bit more selective of the bulls that I want to chase.
For sure.
If I'm trying to find bigger ones, like I can call in raghorns and stuff, and it's not like they're not good enough or anything. I just, I want the challenge. I shot a couple of decent bulls, and I want to try and shoot an older one. And
Yep.
so I feel like calling and like cold calling in Montana on public land is almost like being on like Tinder or Bumble or something
For
with
sure.
like no profile pictures, where
Yeah.
you're just sort of like swiping right on people and you don't know what they look like. And I mean, you might land a good one, but I mean, not knowing is not the best way to go about that. So I kind of set the calls aside a little bit and have been more spot and stalk. But at this point in time, I was calling more. And so usually I'm making more noise. I'm cow calling every now and again. I'm not the guy with the hoochie mama every 5 seconds, but I mean, I call a little bit when I'm hiking in.
Yeah.
But I was late, so I was cruising, get to the tree line, and I bump a little raghorn down in this creek bottom to my right. And I'm like, oh, damn it. So he goes up, and this was before I was like picky with elk. Like I would have shot him if he would have stood still.
Right.
But he runs up, and I kind of have an idea where they bed. They go in this blowdown area. If once the thermals start pulling uphill midday, I can, usually circle up above them and drop down in on them and put a stalk on them or try and call them in. So I'm kind of sneaking along and kind of looking for tracks and this and that and glassing in the timber. And it's pretty open timber, but I mean, it's still relatively thick. And so I get up to this spot that I like to call the landing. It's basically just like it almost looks like it's like a circular no tree spot in the woods, perfectly flat. It'd be like the most epic camping spot ever if there weren't elk living there. It's just a perfect little spot. So I was just going to go chill there for like 2 hours, let the wind switch, and then circle up. I get to the spot and I kind of set my bow down. I'm glassing, looking around, I don't see anything. And there's a row of reprod trees, probably like, I don't know, 10, 12 yards away from me. I don't see anything. I'm looking around and I set my pack down and something clicked. I think one of my buckles or something clicked again. It made a noise when I set my pack down. And I heard something take off on the other side of these reprod trees. And I'm like, son of a bitch, I spooked that elk again. So I pop a cow call in my mouth real quick and hit it a couple times. And that thing had covered probably about 40 yards. And it just turned around and just turned around and came running right back at me. And all I could see was fur, running through, through the gaps in the trees. And I was like, yeah, I picked up my bow and I threw my pack over my shoulder. I drew my gun and my bear spray. I got my bugle tube under my arm. I'm backing up over blowdown. Like I don't know what to do. The thing comes up and stops on the other side of those trees and stands up and looks over them at me. And at this point, it's a big male grizzly, and I was like, "Oh my God!" I'm saying, "Hey, hey, hey!" Just trying to yell at it because I mean, I'm assuming it's expecting to see an elk there, and it sees me falling backwards over shit. So I don't know what it's gonna do. And thankfully, it kind of bounced up on its hind legs a couple times, like looking, trying to figure out what I was, and then it dropped down and kind of circled around to my left. And then thankfully my wind was dropping down and it kind of got down below me and I was hoping it would go that way and it caught my wind and eventually took off. But so it wasn't a full charge. I didn't have to spray it or anything, but it was close enough.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Way too close for me. And it was scary when it kind of came around the reprod trees. I thought it was just going to come around and run right at me, but it was trying to get my wind, I think. And so thankfully it did. And then it took off. But that's really the only bad encounter I've had. I've had a couple close calls with black bears and cubs and stuff, but nothing that I've had to spray or anything. But yeah, that one grizzly encounter was pretty scary though.
Did you have your bear spray or handgun ready?
Both, yeah.
Both?
I was able to draw both. And I mean, if he would have ran through the trees at me, I would have been able to get a shot or, would have been able to spray it. A lot of guys say that they don't have the time, but thankfully he ran away from me first and then came back,
for sure.
Yeah. Hindsight, he was probably sleeping or feeding or something. I'm kind of surprised they didn't get torn up because usually if you wake up a sleeping bear in a situation or scare them like that, it's fight or flight. I mean, it depends on how close you are. And I mean, I was every bit of 10 or 12 yards away from the thing, so it definitely could have went much worse.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there was one time in Montana. I've shot 3 bulls in Montana. It's my best state by far. I'm obsessed with I love Montana, so definitely jealous of you living there, man, for sure. It was the not opening day. It was my first day archery hunting. I was Western Montana thinking there's not a whole lot of grizzlies. I'm going over there because I'm solo hunting. I'm by myself. So the chances of me running into a grizzly by myself are a little bit less versus in some other parts of Montana where there's a lot more higher population. And I walked in, I was probably 2 or 3 miles from the trailhead, and there was 2 bulls just going back and forth, bugling back, just rip. I mean, and then you could hear they were fighting a little bit too. And I was like, oh my God. So I took off the trail after them, and I probably got, I don't know, 500 yards maybe off the trail, and I caught movement to the right of me, and it was just a big tan blob. I saw and it was a grizzly for sure. I could see the hump and everything. And then I went to take out my phone because I was going to take some video of him because he was kind of going away. And then he kind of stopped and looked right at me, dead in my eyes. And I was like, oh shit, I better grab my bear spray. So I grabbed my bear spray, and then he kind of got up on his hind legs and then just kind of kept on down the mountain. But I was like, I was in shock, man. I didn't know what to do. I literally froze there in that same spot for like 20 minutes. I was like, I just seen my life flash before my eyes. That Grizzly could have just ripped me to shreds.
Yeah, yeah, you see them that close and you don't really, I mean, it's a wild animal. You don't know what the hell they're gonna do. I mean,
Yep.
you get one with a bad attitude. I mean, Ryan Barney's a buddy of mine here lives in Ennis, and he was hunting spring bear one year and shot a bear with his bow, and he was like, it was just bad luck. He's like, sometimes you run into it, a pissed off bear or one with a bad attitude, and it'll give you a hard time. He's like, one out of every 10 probably has kind of a bad attitude.
Right.
One of the ones that he shot, it took the arrow and then just kind of whirled and was biting at the arrow and just ran in a direction. It just happened to be his direction. And so
Wow.
he drew his handgun and unloaded a magazine at the thing. I think he said he hit it twice out of like 12 or something. But the thing ended up, momentum carried him and almost died on his bow. He had set his bow down to draw his handgun and the thing almost died on his bow. He posted a video on his story on Instagram. It was like, yeah, well, there's the bear dead right there, and then here's my bow, and this is where I was standing. It was just like, oh man, that was really close. He shot the thing at 30 yards, and it just ran right at him. So I mean, what do you do?
That's crazy, man. Oh,
Yeah.
so you guys were successful this last year? You got a bull, you
Yeah,
said?
yeah. So I was doing the usual trying to be picky thing. It was a struggle this year. Montana was very quiet. It was very hot the whole season. We had very little weather. We had one or two rainy weekends, and one of the rainy weekends I was violently ill. And so it was unfortunate weather patterns up here for sure. In fact, even now it's crazy. We've had like maybe a foot of snow the whole season, and it was 50 degrees like 2 days ago. It's gonna be 50 in 2 days from now. It's wild out here actually. The ski hills have like a foot of snow. It's terrible, but I don't know, it's weird year. But and for construction it's nice because I'm not freezing every day.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
as far as success last year goes, yeah, we I was struggling a little bit. I got on some big ones. I called in one that wouldn't break loose. My wife was trying to call him in for me, and it just bad setup, man. I was not thinking right. I was thinking he's gonna come out and feed in this meadow he was feeding in every day, and he just wasn't coming in. We were losing lights. We tried calling him in, and he just didn't want to come out of the trees into the open. Just poor setup on our part. And then tried setting up on the tree line the following day, but he just wasn't there. I mean, we didn't blow him out or anything. He just kind of wandered off and
Yeah.
didn't want to commit. But yeah, he just must have changed schedules. And then I saw him probably 2 days later, but he was across canyon way up on this ridge and just couldn't get to him before we ran out of light. And so I ended up actually I lost him. I lost sight of him, didn't see him for 2 days. I had to go out of town for some stuff and then come back. And then I hunted that weekend and didn't even see a track. And I was like, well, the hell with it. He wasn't giant. He was a shooter for sure, but he
Yeah.
wasn't, like a 400-inch bull or anything crazy. And so I was like, well, I'm just gonna go try, one of my spots. One of the spots I hunt is typically really good, like opening weekend of rifle, but our season started pretty late this year. So I was like, well, sometimes the end of archery season, a lot of in Montana, it's kind of a, shouldn't even say this on the show because I don't want everybody to do this, but it's funny. Everybody gives up during archery season and is like, I'll just wait until rifle season.
Right.
Some of the best hunting I've ever had in my life is the last week of archery here. I mean, it's
I've heard
crazy
that. Yeah.
sometimes. I mean, that bull that I killed was in a herd of probably about 100. Probably maybe a third of them were bulls, and the one that I got a video of was every bit of 340, and I had him at
Wow.
75 yards, and there was a gap in the trees that I was going to try and shoot through, but I couldn't do it without hitting the upper branch. My arrow was just going to pile drive that branch, and so tried to slide closer, and there was another 6 point that was a little closer. I couldn't get a shot at either, but he kind of caught me moving. I was kind of trying to slide down this little snowy hill, and he just saw me moving and booked out of there. But the last day of archery season, though, I got on that same herd and I just caught a little straggler 5 point that was wandering around by himself. And, he just stepped out and stood broadside at 40. And it was the last day of archery season. I'm just never going to pass on that. So
For
took
sure.
him out. And then
Nice.
my wife and I went out on opening day rifle, exact same spot. We were about 50 yards from where I killed my bull, which was a little unnerving with the whole grizzly situation. But
Yeah.
got very, very close to where I killed mine, and there was just a bachelor herd of bulls that walked out, and she shot a 5 point out of the herd. It was just a bunch of small bulls all hanging out. But yeah, she shot one opening day rifle, which was cool. And we went up for deer once, and didn't really. I mean, we saw a couple bucks, but nothing really big or anything. Montana We really kill the deer up here, man. There's not
Yeah.
a lot of big mule deer in Montana if you're not drawing a special tag, and you can get lucky and catch some coming off of good units or catch some coming off big swaths of private, but for the most part, like it's pretty hit or miss. And we already had 2 elk in the freezer. I'm not just gonna kill something to kill something. So, and actually I drew a bison tag for the West Yellowstone region this year as
Did you
well.
did you have luck on that?
And what's that?
Did you have any luck on that?
No, it's so sick, and anybody that's never drawn the tag is gonna be pissed when I say this, but I haven't even been out. It didn't snow. Like I said, it hasn't snowed. There hasn't been any
Nothing
snow,
kicked
and
him out
now
of
there
it.
kind of is. It's been snowing more, at least down in West Yellowstone. But my work schedule's been so crazy, and then the holidays, I had a
Yeah.
bunch of family in town, and then I was out of town last weekend, and then actually I have to go out of town for work next week, so I'm leaving Sunday for that, and then I don't get back until Saturday, so I can't go next weekend either. But the weekend after that, like the third weekend of January, I should be able to go and kind of start getting after it. So my schedule's been so screwed this year that it's been tough for me to get out. But looking forward to going, and I'm hoping we're gonna get some weather between now and then.
That's life, man. I tell you what.
Yeah.
Especially in today's
Yeah,
world,
the
it seems
biologists
like
and stuff say that they're still coming out of the park and everything, but it's just you get a huge snow event or something. Obviously, snowmobiling is, but on top of that, it's the bison are just wanting to move, and they'll follow the rivers out into
yeah,
into the flats and stuff closer to the lake, which is nice. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of being in the right place at the right time with this hunt, as far as I know.
for sure. Do you guys hunt out of state or you just do most of your hunting in Montana?
I have, but not much. I've
Yeah.
only, so I apply in Colorado and Nevada, and Arizona. Colorado and Nevada for, Colorado for deer. I mostly just buy preference points. And Nevada, I apply for deer and elk. And then Arizona, I did do a Coues deer hunt a couple years ago, which was really fun. That was really cool. I really want to do that again, but it actually had some conflicts with poker. There's a big poker tournament series in Vegas that I would go to every year, and it's right around the same time I'd be wanting to go down and hunt deer. And so 2 years ago I did the hunt, and last year I did the poker thing, and so I'm probably gonna hopefully alternate, but I don't know if I'll be able to make it down there this year or not. We might actually not be here. We're thinking about taking a trip, and it would probably be right around that time. So I got to kind of decide before I apply in Arizona to see what my strategy is going to be. But I'd like to do it again, though. It was tons of fun.
I thought I was gonna shoot a mega giant in Arizona, and it never happened. We scouted for 3 days
Yeah.
straight, and I had two bulls that were over probably 350 or just at 350, and they were coming out same spot, same time in the morning, and I thought this is a slam dunk. I'm gonna go down there and shoot them, and then opening day I didn't see him. The next day I didn't see him. I was like, oh my gosh. And the problem was, Mike, is the weather stayed the exact same for like 8 straight days, and nothing was kicking them
Yep.
down out of private, and they were just hanging up in there. But those 3 scouting days, there was a little bit of change in the weather, and it was a full moon. I've had some pretty good luck on full moon. I don't know why in the late
Yep.
season, not during archery season, but in the late rifle season, I've had some decent luck on a full moon, and I think that's what kind of got them up and moving during those 3 scouting days. And then after that, the opening day was a couple days on the tail end of that full moon, so I there wasn't anything really making a move, and they weren't hunkering down on public, and I just couldn't get to them.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's such a crapshoot with the moon phase and the weather patterns, man. It's like that's what I was dealing with this year during archery. I mean, it's really hot. I mean, we had a couple days that were in the 90s in the mountains, which is unheard of,
Hmm.
especially up here. I mean,
Oh yeah,
it
for
was
sure.
hotter than hell up here, and it was
That's crazy.
super dry. It didn't rain. It was more just the pattern, like you said. It just didn't change for like a month, and it was just brutal. But I mean,
Hmm.
it's fun to hunt in because you don't ever have to worry about rain gear. I mean, I had rain gear in my pack like twice this year. It was crazy.
That is
Like
crazy.
usually it's always in my pack because you never
Right.
know. Montana's crazy.
Oh
It'll
yeah.
be 80 degrees and sunny, and then it'll be snowing, and 2 hours later, like you never know.
Yep.
But I mean, there was none of that this year.
Are you guys typically kind of the weekend warriors, or do you hunt during the week too, or just kind of block out some time? Or
No, I try to take some time off.
nice.
The company I work for is really good. When I was doing my own electrical company for a while, and I actually wired the CEO of my company. I wired his personal house.
He must
And
trust
so
you.
we kind of, yeah, he's a good dude. Him and I get along really well. He offered me, so I was playing poker full time for quite a while, and then I wanted to come back. I absolutely hated living in Las Vegas. I lived there very briefly, like a few months, like 4 or 5 months. I hated it. Came back and I posted on Instagram like, "Hey, I'm coming back. Like, send me your bids. I'll do, or send me your prints. I want to do some bids. I'm gonna start doing the electrical thing again." And he reached out to me personally and offered me a job, and I was like, "Well, what's the vacation time look like? If I'm
Right.
starting out on the entry level." And he's like, "Oh, he's like, we're just it's actually a really big plumbing company, and they're starting an electrical division." And they asked me to join two of the other guys that were already doing it, to kind of help them start it. They started it in April, and then they asked me to come on in June. And so part of our negotiation, because he's a crazy diehard hunter too, we all are, and so that's helpful because everybody's kind of like, okay, like, one guy's more into rifles, so he does that, and I take a bunch of time off during archery, and the
Nice.
CEO goes and hunts whenever he wants to, and it's just it's a good crew over there. So
That's awesome.
thankfully the PTO accruing was negotiated before I was actually employed there, which was good. So he was very understanding. I usually take like two weeks off, I'd say, and then we usually work 410s, so I can typically swing a couple 4-day weekends by doing Monday through Thursday, and then hunting Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then working Tuesday through Friday the following week. I did that a couple times this year, so I try to get out as much as I can, and it's helpful that my wife likes to hunt as well, so she was out there with me most of the time as well. So
For sure. What's your do you like hunting with a partner or solo hunting?
it's a good question. I don't not like hunting with people, but I feel like I'm much more effective when I'm by myself, other than when I'm hunting with my wife. Morgan is a savage in the woods. She hikes hard, she hunts hard. She's I mean, I have really good vision, but for whatever reason, she just sees animals way better than me. I don't
Yeah.
know, no idea what it is. She has contacts, and I've never had contacts in my life, and she can pick animals. She'll be like, "There's an elk," and it's like 800 yards away. Never would have seen it. I don't know why she can do, but it's impressive. I feel like we work really well together. But other than that, man, I haven't really hunted with a lot of guys, to be honest.
Yeah.
I feel like I enjoy, I don't want to say I enjoy not being around people, but I enjoy the solidarity of just being on the side of the mountain and figuring it out myself.
Mhm.
And I feel like I've always liked individual sports more than I've liked team sports. And I think that kind of plays a role too. Like, I played baseball growing up, but I really kind of found that I really enjoy like the hunting and the archery and the martial arts and the things that are more a solo adventure, and I've kind of just thrived in that space.
Yeah, for sure.
But I do really enjoy hunting with my wife, though. She crushes it, and she's fun to be out there with.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I went out to Montana, like I said, probably half dozen times just by myself, solo hunting. And then I went with some guys a couple times where it was okay. But then I linked up with a couple other guys a couple years ago, and we had the best time of our lives. We all three shot 3 6-point bowls, and but we were like on that same wavelength, and we literally pushed each other and helped one another out in different ways to where if we weren't there or if I didn't have those guys, we wouldn't have been as successful. And it was just funny how it all
Yeah.
came together out there, and it was incredible. And that's kind of what drove me to build Join Team Hunt. Is there's got to be something, a platform to where we can get like-minded individuals to where you can kind of team up, and everyone's not going to be the perfect fit, and you're going to run into those situations to where it's not going to be a great hunt. And heck with it, I'd rather hunt by myself and do a solo hunt. But if you find those right couple guys that you can kind of lean on, or maybe you have a tag that nobody can go with you and it's 20 hours away, and you can kind of split some of that cost, and that guy is going down there to do some scouting, like down in Arizona. Maybe you want to go down and check out a unit and do some hunting with another guy, that you can link up with Join Team Hunt and figure out, hey, yeah, I can go do some scouting. We can share the cost, and then maybe he'll come down and help me, and vice versa. I mean, there's so many different avenues that you can go down. And what really drove me to build it is that time in Montana when I ran into that grizzly and I'm by myself. I'm like, oh my God, I wish there's somebody else that could kind of get me through this little hurdle that I'm just stuck froze, and there's literally two bulls still bugling, but I don't know what the heck to do right now.
Yeah, it's also never bad having a buddy with you when it's time to pack an elk out too. I've packed a couple of them out solo, and it's a real pain in the ass if you're by yourself, dogs.
For sure. Yeah, that's why we bought
Yeah, one
some.
about Killed
llamas
one
to
about
help.
4.5 miles in a couple of years ago, and thank God my wife, she, like I said, I can't even say it enough, man. I couldn't get my sat messages to send my inReach because it was really foggy when I killed this thing, and I was about 4.5 miles up in this hanging basin, and she had never been in that area before. She had never hiked down that trail once, and the trail goes like 2 miles, and then you have to go up and kind of navigate some blowdown and go past some wallows, and then you got to get up below the cliffs and figure out where I'm at. And I tried to send her a pin. She never got the pin. She lost service and ended up she crossed the creek and went the wrong way at first,
Oh
found
no.
somebody else's dead bull on the side of the mountain that they killed that morning, ironically, dropped a pin there. She's like, well, it's not his bull because he's not here. So she crosses this hellacious canyon, gets back to the trail, ends up bumping into a guy that hunts there quite a bit. And she was just like, hey, like, trying to find my husband. I think he's kind of up here, whatever. And he's like, oh yeah, I know right where that's at. And like kind of like gave her a hand, but like she was going the right direction, thankfully. She came out, shot in the dark, and like found me in like 3 hours. I couldn't even believe it. I mean, I couldn't have found me where I was at. I mean, it was just, I mean, I can't, it's hard for me to find that spot without on X. It's a weird spot to get to. So, but yeah, she came up and met me, did the first trip out, which was really a lot. I mean, first trip, I usually do a hind quarter and the back straps and the tenderloins and sometimes the neck meat, depending on how I'm feeling. And it's way too much. It was really, really heavy and got out. It was one of those days where I felt about 4 inches shorter when I got to the truck.
Yeah, I bet.
And I had messaged my buddy earlier in the day that has pack goats. And I was like, hey, man, if you want to pack some meat and there's a bunch of elk running around in here, bring your bow, like bring your goats, bring your bow. Like we're going to
Right.
go in tomorrow and get the rest of the meat. And he's like, dude, I'll be there in 2 hours.
That's
He
awesome.
showed up and camped with us that night, which was cool. And yeah, we took the goats back in the next day and got the rest of the meat out. Unfortunately, didn't see another elk that day, which is frustrating because I told him there's all these elk running around and there's nothing. But it was really cool to work with the goats and get up there and get some help though, for sure. I didn't want to do two more trips for that thing. It
I
was gonna
bet.
be it was gonna be a painful weekend if he didn't show. So I'm really thankful he did.
Yeah, my llamas have saved my bacon in more ways than one. With the Grizzlies, a couple
Yeah.
times they've kicked them out of camp, and then they've definitely 2 years ago in Montana, they hauled out three bulls, like I said, and there was this one spot we were in. It was literally straight up half mile, probably 1,500 feet vertical. We had to do that like 4 or 5 trips, and it was because we shot two bulls down there, so it was quite the
Ugh,
quite the pack out. One bull's hard
God,
enough, but shooting two at the same time.
just double.
Yeah, we got
Oh
back
man,
into
that's crazy.
town and I ate a burger, and the amount of flavor that was coming out of that burger was incredible. Like I was like just sitting there giggling like yeah, it was wild.
Man, there's nothing like I'll go and crush an entire pizza after a day like that. There's nothing better. It's
Right.
so good to refuel after that.
Yeah, man.
I'm really pumped he had me on. I'm really happy to jump on and talk nutrition and hunting with you. It's I mean, those are the things that really light my fire in my life. So anytime I get the chance to talk about them or nerd out with stuff, I really really enjoy it. So yeah, this time kind of flew by. Yeah, shameless plug if you are interested in some coaching or nutrition stuff. Shoot me a follow. Montana_elk on Instagram. That's definitely the best way to contact me, and then we can exchange email or phone number beyond that point. And like I said, I'm taking on new guys. It's gonna be. I don't want to take on too much because I want to provide a good service to the people I work with. But I will definitely, case by case, take on clients from here and for this foreseeable future. And yeah, I'm excited to do it, man. It's truthfully, it sounds like it's like another side hustle or money maker or whatever. And like, great if I make money or whatever, but I'm coaching like, I started out coaching people just for free, just to help them, man. And honestly, like I said in the beginning, it's always been kind of like fitness has always been a very self-focused mission for me. And it's really nice to like help people. And I'm really bad at like talking on Instagram and filming myself in the gym. I hate doing it. It feels really weird to me. I don't know why. It just feels really strange. But it's really cool to get the messages from guys that are like, man, your videos like really help me out with this. And when I go out to eat, I make way better decisions and I'm seeing a difference. Like start strength training and oh my gosh, I'm so much stronger. Like, it's really cool to see people make changes in their lives, and it's really cool for me to be a part of it.
Awesome, man. I appreciate the heck out of you jumping on and helping us start the year strong. You talked about Instagram.
Yeah.
Is that the number one spot you want people to look you up on? Or is there?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I mean, I have email and stuff too, but truthfully, Instagram is just the best way
Yeah, for sure.
for me. And then once we establish some contact and start talking or whatever, it's if we want to move off that platform because it's easier.
Well, thank you, Mike.
Okay.
We appreciate you being on. That's a wrap for this episode. Remember to stretch those legs, scout new trails, and share Join Team Hunt with a friend. The next story with that ultimate team is just around the bend.